Hi, what is the funnel process? And what's the difference between a good funnel process and a great funnel process? Today we're going to take a look at 5 sites that offer answers to that, and then we'll offer our own views on what a great funnel process looks like. It starts with the premise that everything that we do in marketing, and frankly in sales, is about moving the buyer from somewhere to somewhere. And you need to know what the somewheres are. Where are you now, and where am I trying to get you to next? Well, first tip is that it's all about the buyer and not the seller. Secondly, make your funnel process a logical progression for them. Tie it to specific sales objectives. How many sales are you trying to achieve? And make it end-to-end from name to close sale. Engineer it backwards for each stage so you know how many buyers you need at each stage, and bring it to life through great tactics. Make it iterative so you can handle recycle leaked prospects. Let me share with you the sites that I looked at today and argue why we need to change the funnel process as I just explained. Well, our first site's from Mars. Mars have specified the stages in the sales funnel. I don't want to disrespect what they've done, but it's pretty basic stuff. I also have an issue with it. They go from lead to prospect to qualified prospect to committed and transacted. That's all about you as a salesperson. Your funnel is full of, or salesperson or marketer, your funnel's full of buyers, and surely the stages are buyer stages, not seller stages. It sort of doesn't matter whether you think they're qualified. What really matters is whether they've agreed that there's a gap or they haven't agreed there's a gap. So it's a good starter, but it's pretty basic. I would argue also a little outdated. Now, next article is Ring DNA. So they've argued, I think, a good change, and that is that it's definitely about the buyer, not about the seller. Awareness, interest, evaluation, decision, purchase. They've gone then into re-evaluation and repurchase. And I think that's an accurate description of maybe a customer journey or customer funnel. But really, if you think about the funnel metaphor, it's about lots on the top, a few in the bottom. And the reality is that re-evaluation, we should be looking to get customers to buy again and again and again. And so there are really going to be multiple funnels at the bottom. I think it's cleaner to stop at purchase and then consider that there might be a second funnel that has a slightly different shape for repeat purchases. Having said that, I like that they've gone to buyer stages rather than to seller stages. They're really only attempting to define a few common phrases here, and that's a useful contribution, particularly because they made it about the buyer. Our third one is from Mind Tools. So what they've got here, let me scroll down. Okay, I'll try and zoom out because I want you to see this. What they've done, I'm not so much interested in the names that they've given to the stages, because again, they've kind of gone back to seller stages, so I'm going to ignore that. But I want to talk about the numbering. So really what they're talking about here is how many buyers do you have at each stage, and how many do you need to achieve each month, each progression. And I think that's a good contribution, a good addition to the thinking. Our fourth one is from Kissmetrics. Now, this is a little off topic if you follow the flow of the first 3 ones, but 2 things. Firstly, I get why it's in funnel process, because they are talking about funnel process, but in a very different context. Secondly, it's a really good article. Kissmetrics doing a good job, guys, generally. And this article, certainly no exception. Basically, what it walks you through is how to set up conversion funnels in Google Analytics. We all need to know how to do that. It's a great article if you've not set them up before. And what they talk about is goals, which is an end that you want to reach online. What's the best point that you can reach online? And what's the process leading up to that online? A very well-written article, I think useful in the specific context of that part of the journey that can be managed online. Now, obviously I'm going to argue that there's a lot of the journey that can't be managed online, so I'd like to see the funnel process more end-to-end. But in regards to the online part of that, this is a good funnel process description, and I do recommend you have a read of it and apply what they're showing us about conversion funnels in analytics if you haven't already. Good start. Final one I'm including here because it was shared a lot, 415 times on LinkedIn, 318 times on Twitter, never on Pinterest, 7 times on Google+. Really, who's bothering with Google+ anymore? It's in our stats, but it just seems to have fallen by the wayside, or just didn't ever really get up. So LinkedIn and Twitter, very important, lots of follows, so obviously lots of people love it, and it's really arguing that the sales process or the funnel process is more like a pinball machine. I get a bit sick of these articles. There's quite a lot of them floating around. They started about 3 years ago saying the funnel's dead. The funnel's not dead. It's just got complicated to track it. And the fact that it looks weird to you just means that you're not tracking it properly. However, if we forgive them their kind of way too cute metaphor, they're actually making a valid point, and that is buyers enter the funnel and then they come back out again. They enter the funnel and they come back out again. And if that's the point, then I would agree. Now, it's just the sort of slightly too cute argument about the pinball, and also this notion that the funnel's not there anymore. It is. Absolutely, the funnel is there. You can look at any business and you can find any stage where they've got many in the top, a few in the bottom, definable stages in between. All that's changed is that buyers go in funnels, they leak, and they come back in again at some later time again. And all that we need to do is get really good at tracking. So kind of interesting, but not the one I'm going to recommend that you read. Interestingly, they're all good, but the one I'm going to refer you to the most is actually the one that's talking about a very narrow construct of funnel process, just because it's a great article on Google Analytics. So let's take a look at the essence of what those 5 sites are saying before I offer my own view on that. And I'll do it in some chronology because I think there was a logical build there. A funnel process has distinct stages. Buyer stages are even better than seller stages. Think about how many. The process of the funnel applies to individual tactics like AdWords or web visits to the same extent that it applies end to end. The logic does, and you need to handle recycling. Let me reframe that from my own perspective. What I just gave you was the synthesis of those 5 articles. Now let me give you my spin. Everything that we do in marketing and in sales is about moving the buyer from somewhere to somewhere. And that means we need to know where the somewheres are. Where are you now and where am I trying to get you to? And so the funnel process needs to honour the fact that we're trying to move buyers through their journey. And so the great funnel process really is all about the buyer and not the seller. That's tip 1. Tip 2, it's a logical progression for them. Think about it from their perspective, not yours. It's not about proposal sale, it's about understanding the offer, believing the offer, then accepting the offer. Think about it from their perspective and build clear logic. Tie it to specific sales objectives. That is, how many sales do you need to achieve at the bottom of your funnel? And tip 4, make it from name to closed sale, end to end. And so if you think about that point 3 and that tip 4, tip 5 is kind of logical. Engineer it backwards. If you know how many sales you need at the end and you have an end-to-end funnel process, then you're going to be able to work out how many you need at each prior stage. Bring each stage to life through individual tactics that move a buyer from somewhere to somewhere in the required quantity. And finally, make it iterative so you can recycle leaked prospects. Hope you enjoyed that. That's all for this week. If you have got value out of this, then the odds are really good that you'd enjoy getting an update. Make sure you're the first to hear about it. The way to do that is to subscribe at mathmarketing.com/blog or at youtube.com/mathmarketing, either of those. And what will happen is you'll get a short email letting you know as soon as we've posted. The blog comes out every week, pretty religiously. Every now and then we have a small drift, but it's been every week for the last little while, and we try to honour that. If you have already, but you've got a colleague who hasn't, then can I invite you, implore you, plead with you to invite them. The more you help us, the more we can help more people to build great B2B marketing engines. So share it, either share in one of those links that I just gave you, or share in this particular article if that's how you want to do it. But be very grateful if you would share it. Finally, if you've done both of those, let me know what you would like us to cover. Send an email to funnelvision@mathmarketing.com and let me know what topics you'd like covered. I'm getting some great suggestions and I'm trying to honour those suggestions in each of these weekly video blogs or vlogs. They're the 3 calls to action, kind of in sequence. Look after yourself first, your mate second, and then me third, if you would be so kind. Okay, well that's it for this week. We've got lots more lined up for next week. Can't wait. Until then, may your funnel be full and always flowing. Okay, our thanks this week to Rhiannon Rack for great research. You're doing a wonderful job, thank you. And to the following 5 sites. To Mars for their blog on stages, fairly basic though it was. Ring DNA for the more biocentric stages, thank you for that. Mind Tools for introducing the velocity. Kissmetrics for talking about Google Analytics, that was really fantastic. And Marketing Profs for the most shared article. Thank you also to Leaky Funnel, that's my book. You can get it at leakyfunnel.com or at mathmarketing.com/leakyfunnel. Jason Thea, fantastic production, thank you sir. I'm Hugh McFarlane, it was my pleasure to script and present this week's show, and thanks to Rev for transcription.